care division, you have Farm and X, which is the nutrition division, and then you have the Force for Good Foundation, which is our charitable arm. So all charity work that we do goes into two categories. Number one is the environment, because we get our products mainly from natural sources. Then we want to make sure that we are taking care of those sources as well as other places around the world. Number two is going to be children. So I think we've approached or surpassed 100,000 Operation Smile surgeries. We're somewhere in the neighborhood of 30,000 open heart surgeries in Asia. We built schools and villages and all this kind of stuff. But the biggest thing that we do is a program called Nourish the Children. Nourish the Children, because by far, I think it is the coolest thing we do. Blake Roney says it may be only 5% of what we do, but it's 95% of who we are. And I really believe that. And the idea is that we can actually use network marketing or this distribution model to stop world hunger, which is a very lofty goal, and probably pretty naive. But the fact is, it's not a food problem, it's a logistics problem, most of the time. And I will be the first to tell you, what I love about the program is it is not welfare. We don't believe in welfare. I believe in helping people, but not long term. It's not going to work like that. It cannot work for decades, because then they just become dependent upon it, and it changes things. So even if it's something very little and it has nothing to do with monetary, we ask everybody to do something to get the food that we're donating. And so what this is, it's not a nonprofit, it's a for-profit co-venture. And so what that means is you take the power of Nu Skin and their distribution and their scientists, and you basically, we manufacture food, and this manufactured food is vitamin and mineral fortified, and it is designed so that a child could cook this if they needed to themselves, and it could be their only meal of the day if it needed to be, or if it had to be, and they would still grow, and they'd still be able to sustain and thrive throughout life. 95% of the meals that we donate are donated through schools. So the children actually have to go to school. That's their part of it. They go to school to get fed. If they don't go to school, they don't get fed. And so we've partnered with a lot of different charities to help deliver this food and circulate it. The biggest being Feed the Children, which is the third largest international charity in the world. And last year, according to our annual report, we averaged feeding 180,000 kids a day in 40 countries around the world. That's why it's so cool. Last month we actually surpassed 600 million meals that we have fed to kids in the last 15 years. It's been an amazing program, what's been able to be accomplished and what it's done. I could talk to you for a long time about it, but the idea being this food, this bag of food, it's a product. It's a product just like Life Pack is a product. You can buy it and or sell it to anybody. You can take delivery of it yourself, use it as food storage, cook it up. It's rice and lentil bean based food. All it needs to be done is boil water, cook it for about 8 to 10 minutes, and you're good to go. And most Americans aren't going to like it unless you add a lot of stuff to it, because it's pretty bland when it comes to it. But I have eaten it, and we took a number of top chefs in Arizona and actually had a competition that who could create like the best meal out of it and stuff. It's pretty fun. But the uniqueness of it is it pays you volume, or revenue, just like Life Pack would. So it fits into the compensation plan, but if you don't take delivery of it, you can have Nu Skin facilitate that delivery through, or that donation through Feed the Children, and you would receive a receipt from Feed the Children and a 501c3 receipt for your donation in kind. So it's a very, everybody, as soon as I explained that the first time, everybody's like, what? So what they're saying is, so you can actually buy this food. So every month I buy some food, and I just say I want to donate it. They will facilitate the donation. They will facilitate and make sure that it gets to the proper people. Feed the Children will send me a receipt for that donation, but it counts as volume or revenue inside of my business in New Skin, just like if I was buying LifePack.
So if I'm already supporting an orphanage in Tanzania, and I send them money for the food, I can send them this instead.
You could.
And the logistics are taken care of.
Well, I don't know. In theory, yes. The problem is right now, quite honestly, we're pretty tapped out as far as, we're very committed, and so we're not adding new projects currently, and so I don't know if we have a feeding program in Tanzania, so it just kind of depends on where the stuff is, and does Feed the Children have people there? You can, and quite honestly guys, you can only dictate where the food is going to go two ways. Number one, if you buy it, take delivery on it and take it yourself, or send it yourself. You get it there yourself, then you can dictate where it goes. And number two is you facilitate an entire container, because they will not ship. If you've ever shipped anything with a container, it's the same price if there's one bag or if it's full with 6,000 bags. So they're only going to ship full containers to specific locations where a partner like Feed the Children has a facility to make sure it's stored correctly, it's secure, it's used properly, it's put in the right hands. So for instance, the largest country that we work with is Malawi, Africa. Malawi is very unique because there's about 10 million people that live there. 2 million plus are orphans. 80% of children by the age of 8 are either living with grandma and grandpa or on their own. My generation does not exist in that country because of AIDS. Relatively speaking, there is no one my age in that country. And so this is not just a food problem. You start thinking about the education and social part. It could very easily, you hear about Malawi from a lot of different angles simply because it could become another Somalia if a lot of people from around the world don't step in and help. And that's what they're doing, And so this isn't, don't take this as like, look what we've done, is we're doing our part in there. But we feed about 110,000 kids a day in that country, of the 180,000 that we do. It's about 110, 120. Now, Feed the Children, what they've done is they actually raised their own money, proved this concept to the point that the U.S. government gave them a grant to expand this program because it was so effective. So what we did is they went in and they went, so everybody there lives in these villages, and think of a village as a small community of about 300 to 350 people, of which about 150 plus are these at-risk children. So you start to think of, okay, it's a tight-knit community, we rely upon each other, and 150, over half, or about half of our population in here is on their own, is at risk. That's a huge burden for the entire community, right? Either you step up and start doing something, or you're going to watch it happen in front of you. And so we come in, so Feed the Children goes into these villages. We now do this in 350 plus villages. With this grant, they're expanding it to over 800. But what they've done is they go in and they said, we will feed all of your at-risk children. So you can imagine the amount of weight lifted off of all those adults' shoulders for doing that. And then they said, but those children have to go to school to get food. We have now exponentially increased the amount of girls that are being educated in that country because it's cheaper to send those girls to school than it is to keep them at home and feed them yourself. And if you actually want to affect change with AIDS, teach them how it's actually spread. Most of them had no idea, and so now they can make that choice. And so they're starting to see some even cultural changes because these girls are getting educated. And then they say, okay, number one, we learned real quick, you can't just give them food. They'll sell it for pennies on the dollar because they're thinking now, not long term. And so what that is so the first thing is you have to build a hut. And we will give you a 2-week supply of food, and you pick 2 people in charge of it, and those are the only 2 people that will have a key to the lock box, the strong box that houses 2-week supply of food, and we can monitor it. So we know if they run out too soon, something's wrong. If they don't have enough, something's wrong. So we're in there at least every 2 weeks. Now, once they build that to cook the food, kids are going to school for it, then they say, okay, all the adults in here, you all have to now take water sanitation courses. You know how, and then once you pass this, we have about 20 different courses, Feed the Children does, and they elect what course they want to take as a village. But if they're not taking a course, we pull the food. So everybody has to do something to continue the program going. Now we took, a portion of the profits, and Newskin took their profits that they make off the food, because it's a product that's sold, and they build their own manufacturing facility in Malawi. And that manufacturing facility, he actually employs, it's the largest employer in the country of Malawi outside of So we employ over 400 people to build 110 to 120,000 bags of food a month there. Now, just by comparison, we have a facility here in Salt Lake that does the same thing. We employ 8 people to do it there. Because everything's automated here. We don't want it automated there. Number one, if an automated machine breaks down, this is an 8-hour drive from Lilongwe, the capital of Malawi, out into the middle of nowhere. And so that 8-hour drive, it could take us, relatively speaking, 4 to 6 months to get that part in. So we ceramic lined a cement mixer, and that's what's used to mix the food, because cement mixers don't break, and if they do break, they have all the parts there to fix it. So it's things like that. Now it takes more manpower, but we want to employ these people. So when you buy that food, it's actually the food, the base of the food is coming from local farmers that we're buying their crops. Then it's employing their people to manufacture it, and then it's going to their orphanages and this program to do it. So you got to look at it and say, okay, it's 90 cents, 89, 90 cents a meal. It's $27 for a 30-day supply of food for a child. You look at it, it's about 90 cents a meal. If you're okay with that price, you get the entire program, and you know that that food is what is getting to the end user. When you donate money to somebody, so you give $1,000 to the Red Cross, how much of it is actually going to whatever you're donating to? It's always a question, right? It's always a question mark. With this, what I like about it is everything, the entire program is built into the cost. But I know that the food I'm buying, and I'm okay at 90 cents a meal, is getting to the child in need. And that's what I really think is pretty amazing. It's all built into this program. Yeah, Cyrus.